He came home expecting familiar warmth, but instead ran into a cold wall of lies. Conversations where it's already too late to fix anything. Promises that crumble the moment they touch the air. A confrontation with betrayal leaves no choice. Fight for the remnants of love, or let go of what had died long before the confession. Where some seek comfort in the familiar, others choose freedom and learn to breathe again. In this world of losses and new beginnings, one wrong move, and the heart will forever remain trapped in the past. But what if, from the ruins, something grows that's more precious than any promise? Sometimes, all it takes is one step toward what you were once too afraid to dream of. Greetings, my dear viewer. Please tell me which city and country you're watching this video from. Maybe you're watching me from a small town or a gigantic metropolis. Write about it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends. It will make me very happy. Let's get started. I don't think so, I said calmly. She gave me a questioning look. What are you talking about? She asked. You promised you'd be here when I came back, ready to explain everything, I reminded her. But I won't be, I said simply. So there won't be anything to explain. And where exactly are you going? She pressed. Somewhere else, I replied, offering no further detail. She frowned, her frustration visible. Somewhere else? What does that even mean? She insisted. It's none of your concern, I shot back. You're being childish, she said sharply. Act your age. It's the modern era. You've changed, she added. I know, I said. And while you've changed too, and not necessarily for the better, I'm still the same, except for a little more gray in my beard. She glanced in the mirror nearby, her beauty still undeniable. Changed how? She asked, her voice slightly defensive. You're heading out to dinner with someone you refuse to name. That sounds like a pretty big change to me, I said evenly. It's nothing, she protested. I love you more now than ever before. That doesn't undo anything, she continued. I wish I could say the same, I admitted. Just an hour ago, I loved you more than I ever had. But now, it feels more like disgust than anything else. She looked wounded by the words. That's sad to hear, she murmured. That's life, I said with a shrug. Disappointments happen. Yesterday, I was sure I'd score an 85 at golf, and I shot an 87 instead. She gave me a baffled look. Why are you bringing up golf? She asked. Golf is frustrating, I explained. You mentioned being frustrated. I was just sharing. My indifference clearly got under her skin. Tell Blake I'm leaving in 20 minutes, she ordered. For once, take me seriously and try to really listen. I do take you seriously, I replied, though the words felt empty in my mouth. And that's the problem, she said bitterly. You're not a serious man. Her pride stung, she added. I don't get why you're saying this. Blake, I'm heading out, she called over her shoulder. You'll see, she said, turning back to me. Nothing's going to change between us. I'm going to make you happier than you can imagine. You just don't realize it yet. You're mistaken, I said flatly. Mistaken about what? She asked, brows furrowing. About nothing changing, I clarified. Everything has already changed. How I feel about you has changed. And what about Sienna and Brooke? I asked, my voice gaining an edge. How do you think they'll react when they find out their parents are splitting up? She snorted. Come on, Blake. We're not getting divorced. What we do doesn't concern them, she said dismissively. I actually agree. Not about the divorce part, but about it being none of their business, I replied. But sadly, it's become messy because of your involvement with some mystery guy. Blake, please. Let's sit down and discuss this properly, she said, her voice softening. No, I said firmly, already moving. I'm leaving. This matters more than whatever plans you've made. You don't understand, she tried to say, but I cut her off. I made up my mind a minute ago, I said, walking toward the exit. Claire, it's too late, I said, as she opened her mouth again. The moment you thought I'd just accept your behavior without question, you lost me, both as a husband and as a man. It's too late now. That's not true, she shouted, anger breaking through. I never stopped respecting you. I don't buy it, I said coldly. Your actions since you walked through that door say otherwise. I'm done. Go on your date. I'm out. I grabbed my jacket, wallet, and keys without looking back and stepped outside. She chased after me, but by the time she made it to the door, I was already behind the wheel. I pulled away as she stood on the porch, watching me go. As I drove, I decided to head to Brooke's place. It was about 4 miles away, and I quickly sent her a text. Why not Netflix and chill? She answered almost immediately. Want company? Already making popcorn, I texted back. When I pulled into Brooke's driveway, she was already on the couch, waiting. Her dog, Dexter, ran to greet me, practically tackling me with excitement, drool flying everywhere as he snorted happily. Hey, buddy, I laughed, steadying myself as he danced around my legs. The drive had only taken about 10 minutes. Once inside, Brooke handed me a glass of wine and loaded a plate with popcorn before I even had a chance to sit down. I took a slow sip and glanced at her. Not a word, she said quickly. I like sweet wine, you don't? I teased, smirking. You're in my house, she said with a shrug. Suck it up. I laughed. Hey, I tried to raise you right. It's not my fault you went rogue. She brushed some lint from my jeans, tossed a plaid blanket over my lap, and nestled in close beside me. What's Mom up to? She asked casually. Not exactly sure, I admitted, shrugging. She gave me a confused look. That's odd, she said slowly. Yeah, I agreed simply. So, what's the deal, Dad? She pressed. How can you not know? When I got back from work, she mentioned she had plans for a date. I made it clear I didn't approve. She immediately offered to cancel and suggested we sit down and talk. But I was too frustrated to keep discussing it, so I walked away. Now I'm left wondering if she went ahead with the date or if she's still at home, waiting for me to open up. She stared at me, bewildered. What are you saying, Dad? A date? Are you joking? Her shock matched my own. She had told me she was meeting someone, but hadn't given any details, assuming I'd just be fine with it. Dad, this can't be real. Maybe you're confused? She asked, grasping for another explanation. I wish that were the case, I sighed, but honestly, I have no idea what's happening. She nodded and said, I'll give her a call. When Claire answered, Brooke didn't hold back. Her voice was sharp. Where are you, Mom? Who are you with? You lied to me. I'm sitting right here next to Dad, Brooke continued harshly. You lied. What the hell is wrong with you? Her anger was raw and immediate. Don't call me again. I'll reach out if and when I'm ready. She hung up without waiting for a reply. We both sat there, the heavy silence wrapping around us. I wrapped an arm around her when she began to shake, and soon she broke down, crying against my chest. She lied. Dad, she sobbed. She told me she was having dinner with you. She lied. I know, honey, I whispered. We'll get through this. But she pushed away from me, her sadness turning into rage. How is any of this going to be okay? My own mother lied to me. She's out on a date, Dad. What are you going to do about it? Brooke demanded. I had no good answer. I don't know yet, I confessed. I'm just trying to process everything. I came here hoping you could help me make sense of it. I should have known you'd want to talk, Brooke said, apologizing. I'm sorry. This isn't your fault, I reassured her. She grabbed a handful of tissues, wiped her face, and blew her nose loudly. Afterward, she glanced at me, then lay down next to Dexter, who gave a grumpy snort in protest. After a few minutes, she shifted back toward me, snuggling against Dexter. Dexter always makes me feel better, she mumbled. You do too, I said softly. You smell better than Dexter, though. She gave a small laugh. Yeah, he's kind of smelly. Talk to me, Dad, Brooke pleaded, her eyes meeting mine. How did it come to this? What's really going on with you and Mom? What's the plan? I wanted to answer her, but I was still reeling myself. She sat there quietly for a while before suggesting, "We should call Sienna." She grabbed her phone and quickly dialed. "Hey, Sienna, can you come over? It's serious. I'll explain everything when you get here." "She's at Straps," Brooke said, lowering her phone. "It's a club nearby. She's calling an Uber." We nibbled on some popcorn and sipped wine, quietly speculating about Claire. 20 minutes later, Sienna showed up. She gave Dexter a pat and dropped down onto the couch with us. Being 3 years older than Brooke, Sienna had always been close to her younger sister. Where Brooke resembled their mother with her light hair and petite frame, Sienna took after Claire's darker features and taller build. She hugged both of us warmly. "What's going on? What's the big emergency?" "I was at a party," Sienna added. "Is everything all right?" Brooke shot her a look. "That doesn't sound great. Are you drunk?" Sienna chuckled. "I had 2 margaritas and a cocktail. I'm still standing." "Relax, Dad. Go make some coffee," Brooke ordered. "This is serious, Sienna." By the time I returned with the coffee, Brooke had caught Sienna up. Sienna looked pale. "Dad, there's more to this, right?" she asked quietly. "Have you and Mom been fighting? Trouble in the bedroom?" "We argue sometimes," I admitted, "but not any more than when you were living here. And honestly, most of it's about you two." Brooke playfully punched my arm. "Hey now," I laughed. No problems in the bedroom, not that I know of. If there were, she never said anything." "I need to speak with her," Sienna said firmly. "You too, Brooke. We both need to." "Dad, why didn't you just talk to her when you had the chance?" Brooke asked. "Maybe I should have," I said, regret weighing down my words. But she dropped it on me like it was nothing. I couldn't handle it. Brooke hugged me fiercely. "I get it, Dad, but we have to talk to her, all of us. When do you think you'll be ready without blowing up?" "I'm not sure," I answered honestly. "Hopefully soon. I can't take much more of this. I need a break, a chance to clear my head by the lake." "I'll come with you," Brooke responded. "Let me grab my bag and a blanket for Dexter." She paused briefly. "Give Daddy a cigarette," she added, directing the request to Sienna. Sienna hesitated, eyeing me with a look of uncertainty. I gave her a nod, and she handed me a pack. I didn't usually smoke, but my nerves were frayed, and right now, I felt like I needed one. Brooke came back, bag in hand, grabbed Dexter's plates, and we headed toward the truck. Sienna followed us out. "I'll talk to Mom tomorrow," she said. "Brooke, let me know what happens. Daddy, don't do anything stupid, okay?" "I'll try," I said. "I'll do my best not to do anything too stupid." Sienna gave us a hug, Dexter climbed into the car, and we set off. On the drive, Brooke bombarded me with questions. Some I could answer, some I couldn't. When we reached the lake house, we took Dexter down to the water. Brooke stayed close, her hand in mine as we walked. Some things hadn't changed at all. Dexter swam, chased after frogs and squirrels, and eventually, we made our way back as dusk began to fall. I glanced over at the alcohol. "How about a mojito?" I asked Brooke. "Sounds perfect," she answered. "Definitely." I made 2 generous drinks, and Brooke lit the fireplace. We sipped our drinks, chatting comfortably. I lit a cigarette, and the tension started to ease. "What do you think, Daddy?" she asked. "I have a few ideas, but it all depends on your mom," I replied. "It's a mess. She might try to claim she was out of her mind and retract everything." "Like in therapy?" Brooke asked. I chuckled. Maybe I'd try that route. "And if she's really set on it?" Brooke pressed. "Then we'll meet her in court," I said. "But I don't understand why she'd want that." "I don't know," Brooke replied. "You're smarter than me, Dad. Maybe you'll become a psychologist one day." Why is she doing this? I wondered aloud. I just can't figure it out. Brooke paused, thinking. People cheat for all sorts of reasons: revenge, commitment issues, physical attraction, or because they feel unfulfilled. But none of that fits Mom. If she's unhappy, she should talk to me about it. I can fix whatever's wrong. Yeah, I agreed. You'd think so. We'll see, Brooke said. I'll talk to her tomorrow. Dad, you'll have to drive me back so I can get my car. Surprisingly, I slept soundly that night. The next morning, I watched some videos before dozing off. When I woke up, I got dressed and took Dexter outside. He wandered around for about an hour. By the time we returned, Brooke was already up. Do we have any food, Daddy? She asked. Not really, sweetheart, I answered. We had to grab something on the way here. It's okay, she said. Take me out for breakfast. I want French toast at Joyful. Deal, I agreed. We left Dexter behind at the house, still mostly asleep after a big breakfast. On the drive, we talked about everything: hypothetical scenarios, school, my work, Dexter's antics, and her internship. After picking up her things and grabbing Dexter, I drove her home. I then walked back to the lake house, sat on the porch, and watched the boats drift by. It felt lonely. I missed Claire, how we could just sit together in silence. I missed Brooke and Dexter too. I decided to go fishing. I took the boat out and caught 6 nice crappie. I cleaned the fish and found some frozen fries to go with them. They turned out great. After turning my phone back on, I saw messages from both girls asking me to come to Brooke's place. I arrived to find them eating pizza. Brooke handed me a beer, and we gathered around the kitchen bar while they ate. I talked to her, Brooke began. So did I, Sienna added. And? I asked. You're not going to like it, Brooke said. She told me she's unhappy, not with you, but with her life. She feels like it's missing excitement and challenge. There's a guy at work who's been flirting with her, and she likes the attention. She wants to go on dates. She says she loves you, and that you can date too. I sat there trying to process her words. Sienna, did she say the same thing to you? Pretty much, Sienna answered. Daddy, I don't think it's going to last. She'll figure it out. Damn, Sienna, Brooke exclaimed. You're okay with this? I didn't say I'm okay with it, Sienna replied. I just think it won't last long. She'll get over it, and things will go back to normal. I was stunned. What do I do in the meantime while she figures it out? Love her, Sienna said simply. Be patient. Give her a little time, Sienna suggested gently. She cares about you deeply. She's just going through some tough times in her life. Maybe, Brooke disagreed. But these aren't just typical midlife problems. It's not just about her having fun with other guys. What other option is there? Sienna pressed on. You could get a divorce, lock her away in a cage. What are you going to do? I'm not sure, I admitted reluctantly. Divorce is something to consider, but I don't want to go there. It's not something you should consider, Sienna said firmly. Come on, Dad. Don't lose your mind over this. You two belong together. Why not talk to Mom about it? Tell her not to lose it, Brooke suggested, her tone blunt. This is ridiculous, Sienna shot back, clearly upset. You're taking her side when Dad hasn't done anything wrong. I'm not choosing sides, Sienna responded, maintaining her composure. Well, that's part of the issue. Brooke's frustration was building. You should be picking sides instead of pushing this wait-and-see nonsense. She went on a date with some jerk. He's an idiot for hitting on a married woman, and she's wrong for letting it happen. Let's just take a break, I suggested, hoping to calm the situation. But Brooke wasn't finished. What exactly are you hoping for, Brooke? I asked. Do you want our parents to get divorced? It's not about what I want, Brooke replied. It's about what Dad needs. Dad doesn't want this, I said, my voice growing more strained. Mom wants this, and she's the one who has to fix it. She can have what she wants, Brooke said coldly. But until she gets herself together, my relationship with her will depend on what I decide. And what will that be? Sienna asked, a raised eyebrow betraying her disbelief. I want to see her as little as possible and hear from her even less. So now you're going to control our relationship with Mom? Sienna asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. I'm not controlling anything, Brooke replied. If you can't see this is Mom's fault, then you've got the same issue she does. Whoa, Brooke muttered, sensing the tension grow. Let's not escalate this, I said, moving closer in an attempt to bring the situation down. I reached out for a hug, but Sienna grabbed her bag and stormed out the door. Brooke and I watched in silence as she climbed into her car. She flicked the headlights on, then off, stepped out again, and finally drove away. I'm so mad at her right now, Brooke muttered, frustration heavy in his voice. I'm sorry, Dad. That was horrible. Brooke leaned into me, and I let out a long sigh. Yeah, it was. But this isn't Sienna's fault, Brooke. It's your mother's. This isn't fair to the kids, I said quietly, feeling the weight of everything. We had something special as a family. We were so close. I'm closer to you two than most fathers could ever hope to be. I know, Brooke said softly, squeezing my arm in reassurance. You've always had a strong bond with your mother, I continued. You and Sienna shouldn't be caught in the middle of all this. It's not your fault, Dad, Brooke reassured me. This is all Mom's mess. But Sienna acting like everything's fine is frustrating too. Don't cut any ties just yet, I advised. Let me handle her. I love you, Brooke, I added, pulling her into a tight hug. I don't want you to hurt any more than you already are. She hugged me back, his voice muffled. I trust you, Dad. I'll wait and see how things play out. Just keep me close, okay? Always, I promised. Now, it was time to face Claire. Her car was parked in the garage when I arrived. I took a moment to collect myself before stepping inside. My stomach tightened, so I grabbed a glass of milk to steady my nerves. As Claire stepped out of her office, she looked just as strained as I felt. Hi, I greeted her quietly. I'm glad you're back. I'm far from okay, I admitted in a low voice. I know, she replied, her voice heavy. I wanted to keep myself safe. Do you want to talk about it? I asked gently. She nodded, offering, here or in the living room. Let's keep it relaxed, I suggested. She poured herself some juice, and I grabbed a few wheat cakes. We settled onto the couch, sitting a foot apart, far too much space between us. The air felt thick with unspoken tension. I owe you an apology, Claire began, her voice shaky. I messed everything up. If you think this is just about bad judgment, then we're wasting our time, I said firmly. I don't understand, she admitted, sounding lost. There's no way you could have told me you were going on a date worse than you did. Do you understand that? I asked. I get what you're saying, but you don't understand me, she replied softly. I should have explained myself better, made it easier for you to accept. You'd need to be a magician for that, I said with a sarcastic chuckle. Do you have some hidden powers? She gave a small smile. Not magic, but almost. Go ahead, Miss LaFay, I teased, rolling my eyes. Think about it, Blake, she said, her tone softening. How old are we? I'm 48. And I'm 49, I replied. I feel every single one of those years, she continued, her voice distant. Not physically, but emotionally. Do you remember when we were 25? She asked, her eyes wandering off into the distance. Yes, I replied. I remember it all. We felt so alive, like the world was full of endless possibilities. Love was new every single day. Do you remember? Yes, I do. Take a moment to consider how things are now. It feels like we're stuck in an endless loop, doing the same things over and over each day. While I find comfort in the predictability of our routine, a part of me longs for something more, a burst of excitement to break the monotony. I understand what you're saying, I replied. But do you really think we can't explore new things together? I believe we can, she responded. I suggested we could go on a date and share the experience with one another. You could do the same if you wanted to. Claire, our interpretations of together aren't the same, I told her. What do you mean by that? When I say together, it's just you and me. Adding someone else into the mix doesn't align with my idea of togetherness. She paused briefly. When was the last time you spent time alone with another woman? Aside from family, it's been about 6 months. Remember Kansas City with Ava? We went there for work, meeting with telecom representatives. She nodded. I know Ava well. Tell me, Blake, is there any tension between you and her? Not that I know of, I responded. She's attractive, but I'm married, and 10 years older. We don't flirt, not even a little. We have a professional relationship, a strong friendship, and that's all there is to it. Well, you just acknowledged it. She's beautiful and single. What if you took her out to dinner, explored the nightlife, danced together? Wouldn't that be thrilling, having all that beauty in your arms? Wouldn't that excite you? Maybe. But that's exactly why I don't do it, I replied. Why not? She pressed. Because I'm married to you, I explained. I don't put myself in situations where I might be tempted by anyone other than you. And if I were okay with it? She asked. It wouldn't matter, I replied. It just wouldn't feel right to me. She sighed heavily. I'd be okay with it now, she said. I've grown. I think I could handle it. And I believe you should be okay with me doing the same. No, that's not the agreement we made. You promised me, and I promised you. If you want out, that's your choice. If you're determined, I can't stop you. I can only control my own actions. I don't want to leave, she said. I want more freedom, more spontaneity, but I still want to stay married. You'll do what you want, no matter how I feel. I can't accept that. You've been hiding this from me for quite some time. What else have you kept from me? And then there's what happened on Friday night. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I was angry when you left. That's not the truth. You had planned this long before Friday came. You even lied to Brooke. You're good at that. I couldn't suppress my frustration. You had the chance to handle this properly, but you didn't. My stance hasn't changed. It's not about how you went about it. It's the fact that you went through with it. You're planning to do more, and you want to do more. I can only control myself, so I'm going to grab my things and leave you to it. Blake, that's not what I want, she pleaded. I'm not doing it. But you want to, don't you? I replied. I have no trust in you right now. You think I'm boring, that I need excitement. Even if you never act on it, I'll always know that's what you're thinking. We want different things, so it's time for us to go our separate ways. I made my way to the basement, gathered my things, and began packing. I only took what I needed for a week, intending to return for the rest later. She followed me, suggesting we could work things out, but I ignored her. I loaded everything into my truck. She tried to get in, but I locked the door. She stood in the driveway as I drove away. It was a heavy moment. I loved her, and it felt as though I was losing a part of myself. I couldn't see a way forward. I stopped at a grocery store to distract myself, but when I reached the lake, all the emotions came rushing back. I turned on a podcast, but it didn't resonate. When I arrived, I moved my things inside in a daze. I thought about calling the girls, but I was too exhausted. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Sienna. Hey, honey, I said. Where are you, Daddy? She asked. I'm at the lake. How about you? I'm at your house. Mom asked me to come over. I just got a call from Brooke. Hold on. It's Brooke. I'll call you back. I answered Brooke's call and told her I'd call her back. Then I called Sienna again. I'm glad you're with your mom. She's really upset, Dad. You should be with her, not with me. I know that, Sienna. I understand this isn't easy. Do you want to talk about it over the phone? She stayed silent for a while. No, I don't think so. Are you coming back? No, I'm not. I'll explain everything when we meet in person. It's bad, but I suppose it's just the way things are, she responded. I've got work, and I can't be here long. I'll spend tonight, but my schedule is packed. Tomorrow's up in the air. Your mom has her own work, too. You don't need to worry about that. Just focus on what you need to do. Your mom and I are fine. We'll manage. She laughed harshly, obviously upset. I'm so sorry, Sienna. I know this is hard for you. I love you. You'll always be my first child, and that means something. She paused, catching her breath. I love you too, Daddy. Bye. I took a deep breath and called her back. Hey, sweetheart. Are you okay, Daddy? She asked. I'll be all right. What about you? Same here, she replied. You're at the lake, right? She asked. Yeah. Want to come outside? I'll explain everything. I'm all packed, she said. All my classes are online this week, but I have shifts on Wednesday and Thursday. Can I stay for the week? You don't have to ask. I want to spend every moment I can with you, I said. I know. I'll be there in about an hour. Dinner's ready, I told her. As I was setting the plates, I heard the sliding door open and Dexter's claws clicking across the floor. He sniffed the food, so I scratched his ears and fed him the pork fat I had trimmed earlier. While I washed up, Brooke came up behind me and gave me a tight hug. I hugged her back. Smells amazing in here, she said. No, Dexter, she scolded, wiping she mouth before settling him down. We sat down to eat. I'm guessing things didn't go well, she said. No, they didn't. She had her reasons, but it mostly came down to her being bored and trying to recapture her youth. Fine. Brooke rolled her eyes. If Mom were one of your clients, what would you say her issue is? I wouldn't treat her like a client, but if someone brought me her story, I'd say she's going through depression during a major life transition. There's really no such thing as a midlife crisis. Really? I thought that was a real thing. It's not a clinical term. It's just a phase where people start to feel the weight of their own mortality and act out to convince themselves they're still young. Pretty wild, huh? Who knew? My kid's a genius. She smiled proudly. Yes, I am. You'd better not forget it. Do you think she should see someone? I'll suggest it, but I'm not getting involved beyond that. Fair enough. I'm sorry you're stuck dealing with this, she said. I'm sorry for you too. We'll get through it. Yeah, we don't really have a choice. Sienna showed up late on Tuesday evening. Brooke made some potato salad and I threw burgers on the grill. We ate out on the porch. Dad, Mom's a mess, Sienna said. Yeah, pretty much. What's your plan? She asked. She wants you to come back. She says she'll pretend none of it ever happened. She realizes the damage and says she's sorry. I'm sure she is, to some extent. What does that mean, to some extent? It's complicated. I need a moment to explain it properly. You two want a drink? What do you have? Sienna asked. I've got everything to make palomas. Yum, Brooke said. I'm in. Sienna agreed, so I made the drinks while trying to gather my thoughts. Once we were settled, I did my best to explain. Sienna, are you still seeing that guy? Dickweed? Brooke teased. Sienna burst out laughing. No, I realized he was an idiot. I'm seeing someone new. His name's Ryan. Oh my God. They both cracked up, laughing so hard they almost fell over. I tried to get serious again. All right, imagine Ryan told you that you were boring. How would that make you feel? Pretty awful. I'm not a bore, you know. No, you're certainly not. But if that's his perception, can you really dispute it? I understand, she responded. Brooke, you really can't stand raisins. Sienna, you can't handle coconut. Those are just preferences. Would you change them if I insisted? Brooke replied, No. Did Mom really say you're dull? Not exactly. She spoke a lot about how exciting things used to be, how we've slipped into routine, and how she longs for the thrill. Dad, do you ever feel trapped? Brooke asked. Maybe just a little, I admitted. Sure, I'm not in my 20s anymore, but I'm content with the life we've built. If I wasn't, I'd be living differently. Sienna chimed in. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So what exactly did Mom say? She's seeking new experiences, just not with me. She enjoys the attention from other men and wants to explore dating again. Oh my God, Brooke reacted. How are we supposed to handle that? Can I tell her she's wrong? You can't change someone's feelings. Will a spark suddenly reignite? Brooke asked. No, I replied. Dad, do you really think she just realized all this last Friday? This has been building for a while. She just didn't tell me. I know. Brooke murmured. Me too, Sienna agreed. Dad, if she goes to therapy and changes, do you think you could forgive her? I slowly shook my head. She thought she could announce she was going on a date and that I'd just accept it. That's incredibly disrespectful. Sienna slumped into a chair. I know, Dad. But what if she's truly sorry? She apologized, only for the way she told me, not for what she did. I'll try to talk to her, Sienna said. Brooke, if she agrees to therapy, would you support her? Brooke replied, I'll be there if she asks, but it has to be her choice. Sienna left, clearly upset. Brooke and I continued to check in on her, but Claire dismissed the idea of therapy, proposing only couples counseling. Brooke thought it would be pointless if Claire didn't first confront her own unhappiness. Are you ready for that? Brooke asked. No, I'm not open to seeing other women or sharing her with other men, I answered. Sienna proposed, what if you treated it like a break? You could meet other women and when Mom sorts herself out, things could return to normal. What do you think? I asked. And what happens when she grows restless again a few years down the line? Besides, it's not like beautiful women are lining up outside, even if I wanted that. They both laughed. You look great for your age, Sienna said. If you wanted to meet someone, you could. I'm not interested, I said. No, Sienna, I just can't. Are you disappointed? A little, she admitted. I hate seeing you and Mom apart, but I respect that you know who you are and stand by it. Thank you. After 2 months with no real change, I went ahead and filed for divorce. Claire called as soon as she found out. This is crazy, Blake. You're divorcing me? You don't have a reason. What are you going to tell the judge? I don't have to explain anything, I replied. That's what a no-fault divorce is. What will you tell people? That we disagreed and you left me? I won't say anything. It's private. I'll come by. We need to talk before it's too late. Should I make dinner Friday night? That sounds good, I said. I was finishing up dinner when I heard the door open. It caught me off guard how casually she walked in. Even though we both co-owned the lake house, I never visited the house in town when she was there. I only picked up my things while she was at work. She looked incredible, still making my heart race despite my attempts to stay detached. She dropped her bag onto a chair and came straight toward me. She tried to hug and kiss me. I allowed the hug but turned away from the kiss. She looked hurt, but honestly, so was I, and for good reason. What do you need? She asked. Dinner's ready. If you want, you can set the table while I grab the food. We set everything out, poured some wine, and she started. I don't want to get divorced, Blake. Why not? I asked. Because I love you and I want us to stay together, she said. But why now? You've been unhappy, remember? I never said I wasn't happy, she replied. You just assumed. You made it very clear you weren't satisfied. You misunderstood, she said. I'm actually quite content. She sought to enhance her happiness by exploring relationships with other men, a notion that made me uncomfortable. The obvious solution, as I saw it, was divorce. This would allow her the freedom to explore without causing me further pain. I didn't fully understand her reasoning. She was adamant that she still wanted to stay married but also date other people. That was a boundary I simply couldn't accept. I couldn't continue being married to someone who harbored such a desire. After dinner, we moved to the couch. Is this the end? She asked. Even though I love you and chose you, you still don't want to remain married? She pressed. Yes, Claire, that's right, I responded. Look at me, Blake, she said softly. She then slid onto my lap and kissed me passionately. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to be swept up, but soon I pulled away. Her movement slowed and came to a halt. What's wrong? She whispered. Have you already met someone else? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Yes, Blake, she confessed. Are you planning on seeing him? Probably, I replied. I do still enjoy being married. It's not boring to me. But, could I still be one of the men you date? she asked. Maybe, I said, but I don't feel the same about you anymore. Maybe over time my anger will subside, but I wouldn't count on it. She stood, grabbed her purse. Let me know if you ever change your mind, she said before leaving. We ended up in court. Her lawyer filed a motion for counseling. The judge told us that if either of us requested counseling, it would be mandatory. I'm not going to counseling, I told my attorney. Fix it. I can't, he said. The law requires it. What if we withdraw the divorce petition? Would that cancel the order? I asked. My lawyer was taken aback. No, if there's no divorce in process, he can't force it. Then that's what I want. Do it, I instructed. This decision surprised everyone, and Claire seemed quite pleased with herself. After the court session, I turned to her and said, You won't force me into anything. Until you've completely moved on from this, don't contact me. If you push it, I'll cut all ties. She stood there stunned as I walked away. For 2 months, she tried to reach me, even going through Sienna. In the meantime, her relationship with Brooke fell apart, creating tension between Brooke and Sienna as well. Claire attempted to visit the lake house, but I had already changed the locks. She even showed up at my workplace, and I had to have her removed. After 2 months of silence, she finally gave up and told Sienna that she would no longer pursue counseling if I wanted to proceed with the divorce. So we did, with the same judge, but this time it was uncontested. She kept the house in town and I kept the lake property. Everything was split fairly. She retained her business and I kept mine. No alimony. We each held on to our pensions. The whole process was the usual draining, soul-sucking experience. Once I was free, I started acquiring businesses, quickly amassing enough wealth to retire early. I spent my days fishing, learning to water ski, and enjoying countless boat rides with my daughters all summer. By October, I decided to apply for a residency visa in Mexico. As a tourist, I could stay for 180 days, which would give me enough time to see if I wanted to make a permanent change. I winterized the house, swapped my Chevy for a diesel F-350, bought a luxury camper, hitched up the boat, and drove south to Lake Bacara in Sinaloa, Mexico. The girls were a little sad at first, but I bought them tickets to Guadalajara and promised them beach trips, which cheered them up. I bought a 5-acre plot near the lake, got the utilities connected, and officially became part of the community. On my second fishing trip, I caught a 14-pound bass, and I was hooked. Sienna came to visit in January, and we had a fantastic time staying in a hotel in Puerto Vallarta. On her last day there, she asked, "You're not coming back home, are you, Dad?" "I'm leaning towards staying here," I said. "You and your sister are the only reasons I'd ever return, and I promise I'll visit often." "What about Mom?" she asked, hesitating. "I imagine she's busy with work. She doesn't seem as lively as she used to be. Maybe dating didn't turn out to be as exciting as she thought. But I'd rather not talk about her," I replied. "Okay," she said with a sad smile. We shook off the somber mood and enjoyed the rest of our time together. I drove her to the airport, and we parted with hugs and tears. In February, Brooke visited. She stayed with me in the camper. We spent 3 sunny days at the beach before she insisted on seeing my home. When she saw it, she was in awe. "I can't believe you live somewhere this beautiful," she said. "It'd be even better if you moved down here," I joked. She looked thoughtful. "I don't even know how I'd make a living." "You could use your degree," I suggested. "My degree is in agribusiness," she said, laughing. "How would that fit here?" "I got into machine tools by working at a farm implement dealership," I explained. "It all started when I began making tougher pins for combines." "I didn't know that about you," she said, surprised. "There are ways to make use of your education here," I told her. "Tell me more," she said, leaning in with interest. "As a psychologist, my role centers around listening to the struggles of others. In a light-hearted moment, I joked that bartenders have a similar job. She laughed at the comparison. After spending a couple of weeks with me, she boarded a flight back home. Though I missed her departure, I quickly resumed my usual relaxed routine. 6 months later, my phone rang. She needed assistance. If I could help, I would. She was asking for a loan. I asked, "Is it just a minor shortfall, or is this a larger sum?" She confirmed, "It's significant. I'm looking to buy a cabin. Is it an existing property? Does it generate any income?" I probed further. "Could I find it online?" I inquired. "I was hoping you'd come with me to take a look," she replied. "It's about 10 miles out by Lake Bacara." I raised an eyebrow. "Really? Have you seen the financial details?" "I have," she said confidently. "It's performing well. Plus, there's a bar where I can use my psychology skills by talking to the patrons." I chuckled. "How much are we talking about?" She showed me the amount, and it was substantial. "Wow, Brooke, you're going all in." She replied with a smile, "Go big or go home." I assured her I'd draw up a repayment plan. She mentioned that the loan would be temporary. Once the business was under her control and consistently profitable, she planned to secure conventional financing. Right now, she explained, her financial standing resembled that of someone without any credit history. "I understand," I responded. "That's really exciting, Brooke. Having her nearby sounded wonderful." I promised to visit the property and share my honest feedback, but I emphasized that she needed to see it for herself. 3 weeks later, she flew in, and we toured the cabin together. It was primarily a retreat for American fishermen, and it seemed like a smart investment. 6 months later, Brooke officially took ownership and managed it with remarkable skill. Dexter became somewhat of a local hero, and I spent a lot of time there. Occasionally, Brooke worked behind the bar, and it was fascinating to see her combine psychology with bartending. The restaurant gained a reputation for excellence and was always packed, though there was always a reserved seat for me in the kitchen. One Friday evening, the chef approached and asked if I minded sharing my table with another guest. "Not at all," I replied. When he returned, leading his guest, I was taken aback. She was stunning, dressed in a graceful yellow gown that complemented her skin perfectly. Her dark hair cascaded with streaks of silver, and her striking cheekbones and lively dark eyes captivated me. The chef introduced us. "Miss Vega, this is Mr. Barton. He's the father of our owner," the chef added. I stood as she took her seat and introduced myself. "Just Blake, no Mr., please," I said. Throughout dinner, her laughter, a warm, melodious sound, enraptured me. "You can call me Naomi," she said, smiling. Her English, while tinged with an accent, was flawless, and her voice was deep and smooth. She was already holding a glass of sangria. I found myself at a loss for words, trying to keep up with the allure of this fascinating woman. "It's lucky there was a table available," I remarked. "I don't usually make reservations," she replied, "but Tyler usually arranges a spot for me. Tonight, though, I didn't want to sit at the bar. Someone there was being bothersome." "I get it," I said. "You're safe here. My goal tonight is to keep annoying people away from lovely ladies." She blushed slightly. "I'm glad to have such a chivalrous protector." Her laughter again sent a shiver down my spine. "Do you come here often?" she asked. "All the time," I answered. "My daughter owns this place, and while I enjoy cooking, I prefer eating here." "Ah, sweet Brooke," she said warmly. "I really like her. We're becoming friends." "I'm glad to hear that," I replied. "Do you live around here?" "I have a house along the Sinaloa River and another in Las Mocas," she said. "I move around quite a bit." "I'm a bit of a wanderer myself," I replied. "I own 5 acres nearby with a couple of small buildings, a pickup, and a camper. It gives me the freedom to roam." "Did you move here recently, like Brooke?" she asked. "I've been here for about a year," I replied. Brooke visited, fell in love with the area, and ended up purchasing the cabin. "And what brought you here originally?" she asked. "Fishing?" I grinned. "I sold my business back in the States and decided to explore the world." "What kind of business was it?" she asked before pausing. "I'm sorry, that's probably too personal." I laughed. No need to apologize. "I used to manufacture parts for companies like Caterpillar and John Deere, I explained. Ah, an industrial mogul, she teased with a bright smile. Not quite, I chuckled. I've been retired for a while now. But you're so young, she remarked in surprise. I got lucky, I said modestly. Retiring at 49 isn't the usual path. I'm not retired, she said thoughtfully. I could be, but I still feel like there's work left for me to do. What kind of work? I asked, careful not to pry too much. I'm a smuggler, she murmured, her lips curving into a sly grin. When she noticed the surprised expression on my face, she burst into laughter and added, "Just kidding. I actually run a pharmaceutical company that supplies prescription medications to the Mexican Social Security Institute." "Wow," I responded, truly impressed. "That's the reason I live in Las Mocas," she explained, her tone light. "Maybe I should just retire and become a lazy dreamer like you." Her comment made me laugh. "Your English is fantastic," I remarked. "Thanks," she replied, before asking if I spoke Spanish. Without hesitation, we switched languages. "Now, tell me about Naomi," she encouraged. Her face brightened as she spoke. "I own a lot of land by the river. We have horses and a herd of Gelvia cattle. I can't say I'm familiar with them personally," I joked, making her laugh again. "Then I'll have to introduce you one day," she teased, and I chuckled along with her. "You've got a great sense of humor," I said. "By the way, is there really a Mr. Vega?" "No," she responded simply. "There was once. He died in a petrochemical plant explosion." "I'm sorry, Naomi," I said, the weight of her words sinking in. "It's okay," she assured me. "That was 11 years ago. I focus on the good memories now." "And Blake?" she asked. "Brooke has a mother," I said, "and an older sister named Sienna. She's 3 years older than Brooke." I showed her a picture of Sienna. "She's beautiful," Naomi said warmly. "She lives in the U.S. with her mom," I explained. "My wife and I got divorced 2 years ago. Is that still hard to talk about?" she asked, her voice gentle. "It used to be," I replied. "Not so much anymore. We just wanted different things. She wanted an open marriage. I didn't." "I'm sorry," she said softly. "That's life," I shrugged. "By the way, Naomi, would you like to have dinner with me next weekend?" "I'd love to," she said, "but I'll be in Las Mocas until Tuesday. How about the Friday after?" "Perfect," I said. "Can I have your number?" "Of course," she replied, typing it into my phone. "Maybe when you pick me up, I'll introduce you to some cattle too," she joked with a playful laugh. I walked her to her car, a sleek silver BMW Z4. Before she left, she planted a soft kiss on my cheek, sending a warm rush through me. "You've been wonderful company tonight, Blake," she said warmly. "Thanks for including me." "The pleasure was mine," I replied genuinely. "I'm looking forward to our dinner," she added as she got in. "Call me in the afternoon." "I promise," I said. I closed her car door and stood there for a moment, watching as she drove away. She was stunning, and she had agreed to go out with me. I felt lighter than air as I made my way back inside to find Brooke, who was practically bouncing with excitement. "So?" she asked eagerly. "Did you like her?" "She's amazing," I said. "Did you ask her out?" Brooke pressed, her curiosity unmistakable. "You set me up," I accused, laughing. "Yep, I did," she said, proud of herself. "She's perfect for you," Brooke declared. "Did she say yes?" "She did," I said. "Next Friday. But I can't exactly show up in the truck." "You can use my car," Brooke offered without a second thought. "Thanks, Brooke," I said, feeling grateful. "I'll need to get my own soon." The following morning, I sent Naomi a text. "Two wicked women have conspired against me." She replied with a string of heart-filled smiley faces. "Resistance is futile," I added. "Brooke has confessed everything. I can't wait for our date," I wrote next, and she responded with more playful emojis. The days seemed to stretch on endlessly. Each hour felt like a lifetime. I hadn't been this excited for anything since high school. I messaged Naomi every day, and she typically replied once or twice, though sometimes she skipped a day. We even spoke on the phone twice. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, with her switching between Spanish and English, offering glimpses of her daily life. It already felt like we had known each other forever. When she returned, she called me, and my excitement surged. On the day of our date, I borrowed Brooke's car, leaving my old truck behind, and followed the directions Naomi had given me. The drive led me to a gated entrance with no house in sight. I found a call button and pressed it. "Hola, S. Blake," I said into the intercom. Naomi's laughter echoed through the speaker. "Blake," she said fondly, and the gate opened. I followed a long driveway that led to a massive mansion perched on a cliff, offering a breathtaking view of the river. The door opened, and a young girl around 12 or 13 greeted me. She was strikingly beautiful and introduced herself in perfect Spanish as Peggy, Naomi's daughter. "Encantado, Peggy," I said. "You look just like your mother. Do you speak English?" I asked, switching languages. "Yes," she answered shyly. "English, Spanish, and a little French. English is my best." "I'm sure you're great at all three," I said with a smile. "I'm here to take your mom to dinner. Is that okay with you?" She gave me a thoughtful look before answering. "Yes, you're very charming. For someone older," she teased. I laughed. Flatterer. "I'm not that old," I said, making her giggle. "And you must really love Brooke," she added sweetly. "Same here," I replied warmly, gently taking her hand. She guided me through a spacious, airy room. "This is Zoe," she introduced, nodding toward an older woman. "She takes care of me when Mom's not around. Would you like something to drink while we wait?" "What do you suggest?" I asked. "I usually go for lemonade," she said with a smile. "But we also have juice and adult beverages." "Lemonade sounds perfect," I answered. "And just call me Blake," I added with a smile. "All right, Blake it is," she laughed, her eyes sparkling. She poured the lemonade, and we carried our glasses into a bright, inviting living room. Sliding doors opened onto a porch and a sleek mahogany deck, offering a stunning view of the river and the valley below. "I really love this place," Peggy said, a smile lighting up her face. "Let's sit down and chat," I suggested as we settled into the cozy room. "Your mom never mentioned she had a daughter." "Probably because she's afraid people would like me better," Peggy teased. We both laughed, and before long, Zoe came back with a fresh pitcher of lemonade. "Thanks, Zoe," we both said in unison, which made Peggy burst out laughing even harder. "You're stealing my thoughts," she joked. "That's why everyone around me wears tinfoil hats," I replied with a wink. "We might actually have some upstairs," Peggy teased back. "Should I warn Mom that you're psychic?" "No need. I enjoy knowing what she's thinking. It helps me keep her happy," I said with a grin. "Smart move," Peggy agreed. "It's been years since I've been on a real date," I admitted. "I'll take all the help I can get. Is your mom almost ready?" "She loves making an entrance," Peggy said with a grin. "She'll be down in a minute." Just as she finished speaking, a soft, melodic voice called from the staircase. "Thank you, Peggy." I turned toward the sound. Naomi was descending slowly, captivating in a simple yet elegant white linen dress. The sleeveless cut and intricate lace neckline complemented her perfectly, and her tan platform sandals added to the graceful effect. A wide-brimmed white hat adorned her head, and she paused halfway down, striking a playful pose. "See?" Peggy whispered, pulling me out of my admiration. "You look stunning, Mom. Don't you agree, Blake?" Peggy said with a mischievous smile. Clearing my throat, I managed to say, "Yes, Naomi, you look absolutely beautiful." She smiled warmly. "I see you've already met my little ambassador." "Yes, and it's been a real pleasure, Peggy," I said earnestly. "I hope we see a lot more of you," Peggy said brightly. "You're quite the charmer," I said, finishing my lemonade and walking over to Naomi by the stairs. "You never mentioned you had such an amazing daughter," I remarked to Naomi. "I wanted it to be a surprise," she replied softly. "I know how much you care for your girls. I hoped you'd love mine, too." "She's my whole world, Blake." I can tell, I said with a smile. Later we went to a lively restaurant filled with music and conversation. The food was incredible, and dancing with Naomi was pure magic, especially during the slow songs, when holding her felt like something I would never forget. Driving her home afterward was like floating. At her doorstep, she kissed me goodnight, and the energy of that moment left me glowing. Before I left, she invited me to bring Brooke along for a day with her and Peggy the following Saturday. On Tuesday afternoon, Sienna called. "Dad, when can Brooke and I hang out with you?" she asked. "How about tonight?" "We can have dinner at Brooke's at 8, I suggested. "Perfect. Can you ask Brooke and send me a snap when you're together?" Sienna added. "Of course. Is everything okay?" "Yeah. I just need to talk," she said. "You know you can talk to me anytime, sweetheart. I love you, Sienna. I love you too, Daddy." Later, Brooke and I were sitting in her living room when Sienna FaceTimed us. After some light conversation, she grew more serious. "Dad, Brooke, I hate being apart from you both," she said. "I'm tired of bad dates, miserable at my job, and Mom just makes everything worse. I want to move there." "Are you serious?" Brooke asked, her face lighting up. "That would be amazing." "Sienna, can you find a job here?" I asked. "I already have," she replied excitedly. "I'm buying the travel agency that handles lake cabin bookings. Even yours, Brooke." "You've really thought this through," I said, impressed. "Sienna, we'd love to have you here," Brooke said, her voice full of warmth. "You're absolutely sure?" Sienna asked, her voice trembling. "Of course we're sure," I assured her. "I just wanted to make sure you wanted me first," she said, her voice breaking into sobs. Hearing her cry broke my heart. "Sienna, I'm sorry you ever doubted that," I said, my voice soft and reassuring. "I love you, and you'll always have a home with me." "Me too, Sienna," Brooke added, her voice full of affection. "You're my big sister. Remember when you knocked Joshua Milton out for picking on me?" Sienna laughed through her tears. "Yeah, he deserved it." "When do you think you'll move?" I asked. "Maybe in a month or two," she replied. "But I'm already working on it. It's so exciting." "I can't wait," Brooke said, smiling broadly. We talked for another hour, laughing and making plans, feeling closer than ever. That night, as I lay in the camper, I thought about how incredible my life had become. After Brooke had gotten settled, meeting Naomi was an absolute joy, especially since Sienna was joining us too. Life felt nearly perfect. On that Friday, I asked Naomi if there was anything specific I should bring along. Brooke quickly added, "You make the best pico. Don't forget to bring that." I went to the store for fresh ingredients and prepared a large batch. The next day, we packed up the truck and made our way to Naomi's place. I couldn't help but feel a little curious about how Naomi and Peggy would react to my truck. They clearly had more wealth than I did, though I wasn't exactly struggling, but I had always preferred a simpler lifestyle. Would they judge me for it? I was about to find out. As soon as we pulled up, Peggy rushed over to give Brooke a big hug, and then she turned straight to me. "We're going to the river. Mommy's already got everything ready for tacos." Brooke grinned and responded, "Yum." "Come on in," Peggy said, taking our hands. Inside, Naomi and Zoe were hard at work, filling coolers and baskets with food and drinks. We joined in, and before long, everything was packed up. Right on time, Blake arrived with his truck. "It's the perfect ride for a crowd," Peggy remarked, and her phrasing made me chuckle. She was such an energetic, joyful kid. We all climbed into Blake's truck, Brooke and Peggy giggling in the back, while Naomi sat in the front with me. As we drove, Naomi pointed out various landmarks. "I'm so glad you're here," I told her. "I'd probably get hopelessly lost out here without you." She laughed softly. "There's more than one way to find your way around," she said. "This place has barns for almost everything." "What kind of barns?" Brooke asked, curious. "Horse barns, sheds for equipment, storage barns, barns for animals, and paddocks with fences," Naomi explained. Soon enough, we arrived at the riverfront, a gorgeous little paradise, with a gazebo, a dock, 3 jet skis, picnic tables, and a large grill. I'll warm everything up on the grill, Naomi said. Do you need to use my stove if something goes wrong? She asked. Of course not, I replied. It's a tiny home, but it has everything we need. Peggy's face lit up. Can I check it out? Sure, I'll show you everything, I promised. We put the taco shells in the oven to heat up, then I gave them a tour of the camper. Peggy was fascinated by everything. She jumped on the bed, tested all the chairs, and explored the kitchen. Meanwhile, she and Brooke helped move everything over to the picnic area, giving me a moment to steal a kiss from Naomi. She kissed me back with such intensity, leaving us both breathless. Hi, gorgeous, I whispered. I've been waiting all day to do that. Me too, she whispered back. Just then, Brooke and Peggy returned, and it was time for lunch. Everyone raved about the Pico, and we spent the next hour eating and chatting. Afterward, Peggy suggested we hit the jet skis. The girls changed into their swimsuits, and I slipped into my trunks. We wasted no time getting the jet skis into the water. Can I ride with you, Blake? Peggy asked, eyes wide with excitement. I'd love that, I said. You drive first, then I'll take a turn. After that, your mom can have a ride too. When Naomi and Brooke came back in their bikinis, I was momentarily stunned. Naomi, especially, was absolutely breathtaking. She caught me staring and blushed. Ready? She called out. We hopped onto the jet skis and took off, Naomi leading the way as we cruised upriver for about 5 miles. As we rode, she pointed out a cliff with a rope swing hanging from an old tree. We cut the engines. Want to try the rope swing? She asked. Peggy's face lit up. Yes. It's incredible, she said. You swing way out over the river, then drop into the deep part. Feeling adventurous, I agreed. Naomi held the jet ski steady as we climbed the bluff. Who's going first? I asked. Brooke should, Peggy declared. Brooke grabbed the rope, swung high across the river, and landed with a joyful splash. That was awesome, Dad! You've got to try it! Peggy went next, flipping midair before splashing into the water and swimming back like an otter. Naomi followed with effortless grace. Then it was my turn. The view from the cliff was intimidating, but I pushed my nerves aside. The second I let go of the rope, the exhilaration was overwhelming. The water was a sudden, refreshing shock. It was absolutely thrilling. Naomi and I watched as Brooke and Peggy took 3 more daring turns. Peggy then said she wanted to drive the jet ski again. We made our way back to the shore, hauled the jet skis out of the water, and lounged in the sun with cold drinks in hand. As the day began to wind down, we packed up and returned to Naomi's house. We thanked them for such a wonderful afternoon, and I stayed for dinner. How's it going, Dad? Brooke asked as we ate dessert. Pretty good, I said. I'm a little tired, though. The sun and the water really take it out of you. That's not what I meant, she teased, a sly smile on her face. I'm asking about Naomi and Peggy. Peggy's an absolute sweetheart, I said. You can't help but love her. And Naomi... My voice trailed off, feeling a swell of emotion. She makes me feel things I never even knew I could feel. Just being with her makes me happy. She's beautiful, kind, funny, intelligent, an incredible mother. She really has it all. I know, Brooke said knowingly. She likes you too. She told me she thinks you could be the one. There can only be one, I joked. She laughed, and for the first time in what felt like ages, everything felt perfectly in place. Don't mess this up, Brooke warned with a serious expression, though a smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. I know how much work you've put into this. I won't let you down, I assured her. Thank you, Brooke. But now it's your turn. You should start thinking about finding someone special too. I will, he responded, nodding. Work's been a lot lately, but I'm keeping my eyes open. After a quick embrace, I drove home, feeling an optimistic surge. Naomi and I began meeting regularly, about 2 or 3 times a week. On the occasions she was away for work, I'd take Peggy out for some fishing or water skiing instead. As time passed, I found myself growing incredibly fond of Peggy, almost like a father would for a daughter. But it was Naomi who truly captured my heart. Within 4 months, I realized I was deeply in love with her. Being with Naomi brought a joy I had never known before, and when we were apart, she consumed my thoughts. I dreamt of her nightly. We exchanged countless texts, and she frequently sent me spontaneous photos on Snapchat. Every date ended with a kiss, and my feelings for her only intensified. Still, I was careful, not wanting to rush things. Naomi meant too much to me to risk rushing. Brooke and Sienna were equally fond of her. The 4 of them, Naomi, Peggy, Brooke, and Sienna, spent time together too, even when I wasn't there. One Monday, in a burst of spontaneity, I called Naomi with an idea. "What do you think about getting away to Tulum for the weekend?" Her response came almost instantly, filled with excitement. "Are you serious? I've always wanted to go. I've heard the Mayan ruins there are incredible." She was in Los Mochis at the time, so I suggested she fly out from there. "And Peggy?" she asked with a hint of concern. "Is this just for us, or are we bringing her along?" "I thought we could make it a family trip," I said. "Maybe Brooke and Sienna can join us as well." There was a brief pause before she spoke again, her voice warm with affection. "Blake, it means everything to me that you see Peggy and me as part of your family." "I mean it," I replied sincerely. "Brooke and Sienna adore both of you." "What about you?" she asked softly, her voice filled with a shy vulnerability. "Do you love me?" I paused for a moment before responding. "Naomi, I want to tell you everything, face to face." "I understand," she said warmly. "Sorry for asking that over the phone. We'll talk when we're in Tulum," I promised with a laugh. I checked flights and found one leaving at 3 o'clock. "Can you be ready by then?" I asked. "I'll make it happen," she said confidently. "Drive safe with my girls." Fortunately, Brooke and Sienna were able to join us, and Peggy was overjoyed. She became our DJ for the trip, choosing songs while we teased each other about our musical tastes. We picked Naomi up at the airport, and the flight to Tulum was smooth and pleasant. Upon arriving, it was immediately clear that Tulum exceeded every expectation Sienna had shared. The hotel was spectacular, situated right on a beautiful beach. Saturday was perfect. Clear waters, pristine sand, and hours filled with sun and laughter. That evening, we dined at an open-air restaurant, enjoying the warm breeze of the night. Afterward, Brooke and Sienna whisked Peggy away to a beach party, assuring us she would stay with them for the night. Suddenly, it was just Naomi and me. As we strolled back toward the hotel, I pulled her close. "Well, that wasn't suspicious at all," I teased. Naomi laughed, her smile lighting up the night. "Looks like we've been set up, Blake." "I don't mind," I said, my voice sincere. "Me neither," she replied, "as long as we're happy." Back in my room, I prepared drinks, and we settled on the couch. Naomi snuggled up beside me. "Naomi," I began, my voice thick with emotion, "you once asked if I loved you." She looked up at me, her eyes dark and deep. "I love you more than I ever thought possible," I said, my words spilling out. "From the moment we met, you've been on my mind, in my heart, and in my life." Her eyes shimmered as emotion filled them. "That makes me happier than you know," she whispered. "I love you too, Blake," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "After Elias passed, I didn't believe I could love anyone again. But I do. My heart is yours. Completely." Tears threatened to spill from my eyes. "I've wanted you from the very first moment I saw you, Naomi. You are the most beautiful woman I've ever known. I'm not afraid anymore," she said, her fingers tightening around mine. "The only thing that scares me is losing you or you not loving me back." That will never happen, I reassured her. You're everything I've ever wanted. She chuckled softly. I don't need 1,000 admirers, just one man, you. That night, we made love, our connection deeper than words could express, and eventually fell asleep in each other's arms. The morning sun filtered through the curtains as I woke, finding Naomi still asleep, peaceful and radiant against me. We were still half asleep when someone knocked loudly at the door. Come back with a warrant. I groaned. It was Brooke. Sighing, I threw on a robe while Naomi quickly covered herself with the blankets. Moments later, Brooke, Sienna, and Peggy burst in, rolling a breakfast cart into the room. Laughing, Brooke and Sienna dove onto the bed with Naomi, while Peggy skipped over to me and climbed into my lap, her dark hair spilling over the place. You love her, don't you? Peggy whispered, her voice full of innocent certainty. I love you, and I love her too, I told her, pulling her into a warm, tight embrace. I want to be your daughter, just like Brooke and Sienna, she murmured in reply. Tears of happiness filled my eyes as I felt the depth of her words. Your feelings mean everything to me, I whispered back. I'll do everything in my power to be the person you need. Are you going to marry Mom? She asked with a hopeful tone. Then we'd truly be a family. I long for that more than anything else, I answered sincerely. But first, I need to have a private conversation with your mom. And to be honest, I'm not quite ready yet. I leaned in closer and almost in a whisper confessed, I don't even have a ring yet. I understand, she responded softly. We enjoyed a breakfast together before rushing to catch the shuttle that would take us to the Mayan ruins. The ruins were stunning, and sharing this experience with Naomi and Peggy made it all the more special. By the time Monday morning came, we were back on a plane, tired but filled with happiness. After dropping Naomi off, I took the girls to shop for engagement rings. We found a jeweler from the Nahuatl tribe who had an exquisite selection of gemstones. We picked a brilliant red-orange fire opal, set with 4 delicate diamonds. The jeweler assured us he could complete the ring within 2 weeks and ship it to me. Later, I told Naomi I wanted to take her back to the gazebo by the river. She seemed to understand, smiling as she encouraged me to go ahead. Peggy, bursting with excitement, had to retreat to her room to avoid spilling the surprise. At the gazebo, I knelt down on one knee, and Naomi immediately covered her mouth in astonishment. Naomi, I'm not great at speeches, I began, but I love you with all my heart. I can't imagine my life without you and Peggy. Will you marry me? I promise to do everything I can to make you happy for the rest of our lives. Opening the small box, I revealed the ring, and without hesitation, she extended her hand. As I slid it onto her finger, she spoke through her tears. Yes, Blake. I want to be your wife. I want to love you forever. She turned her hand to admire the ring, tears still glistening in her eyes. A fire opal. I can't believe you knew it was my favorite, she whispered. A little birdie might have shared that with me, I replied with a smile. I think I know who that birdie is, she said, her voice breaking with happiness. When we returned home, Peggy was waiting for us, practically bouncing with joy. I can't believe it. You're really going to be my dad, Blake, she exclaimed, throwing herself into my arms. I knelt down, hugging her tightly. I hoped this would make you happy, sweetie. She clung to me, pressing her face against my chest. Yeah, I just kept hoping. I wasn't sure it would ever happen, she admitted. You found me? I whispered, and I'll never let you go, Peggy. She stayed in my embrace for a long while, crying softly. It's such a fire, she said, smiling through her tears. I chuckled. Sounds like you've been hanging out with Brooke too much. She's taught me all kinds of words, Peggy giggled. We set the wedding date for December 5th. When Naomi walked down the aisle in shimmering gold, I was overwhelmed with joy. She had worn white before and wanted something different this time, and I loved her choice. I moved into her house, but we kept the camper for weekend trips and vacations. I removed it from the truck, and it finally resumed its intended purpose. Life had never felt so complete and joyful. The only challenge came during our second year, when Sienna asked if we could talk. We were sitting on the deck when she brought it up. "Mom wants to visit," she said quietly. I sighed, knowing this moment was inevitable. "When is she planning to come?" I asked. "Christmas," she replied. I looked at her carefully. "And what do you want, Sienna?" She paused before answering. "I really wanted to spend Christmas here, with you and Brooke," she said. "Now I have to divide my time. And Brooke doesn't want to be around Mom, so I'll spend part of the time with her." Her voice softened. "I still love Mom, Dad. I'm sorry if that hurts you, but I remember the good times too." I pulled her into a tight hug. "I'm not upset, sweetheart. I'm proud of you for being so kind. Everything will be okay. You can tell your mom we already have plans for Christmas dinner here," I added. "She'll have to accept it." "It's just so hard," Sienna said, her voice trembling. "I just needed to tell you. And if she wants to see me?" "Talk to me?" she asked. "Let me speak to Naomi first," I suggested. "She's the one who's good at figuring these things out. Let's see what she thinks." Sienna spent the rest of the day with Peggy and me, and we shared a dinner together before she went home. Later, when Naomi returned from a trip to Las Mocas, I shared everything with her. We curled up on the sofa, the warmth of the fireplace filling the room as she sipped her wine, deep in thought. "What do you think, Blake?" she asked. "Should we meet her?" "I suppose it was bound to happen," I replied. "She's the girl's mother. I don't have any anger left. Just memories. I did love her once," I admitted. "But so much damage was done. The way it ended overshadowed everything else." Naomi cuddled closer, resting her head on my arm. "I think we should invite her to the cabin for dinner," she said gently. "I'd like to meet her." "Really?" I asked, surprised. "Yes," she answered without hesitation. "She's been part of your life and the girls' lives. I want to know her too." Despite my unease, Naomi had always been fiercely self-reliant and trusted her instincts above all else. When Claire arrived, she chose to move into Brooke's cabin. As a result, I found myself spending less time with the girls, assuming they were enjoying her company. Naomi had met Claire, but if anything had been troubling her, she kept it to herself. Eventually, I asked Naomi for her thoughts on the matter. "I like her," Naomi responded, her tone matter-of-fact. "Really?" I asked, surprised. "Yes," she affirmed with a nod. "She's changed. Sienna and Brooke think so too. She's more thoughtful now and has been friendly with us." "That's a good thing, right?" I ventured. "I think so," Naomi agreed. "We even talked about you." My stomach clenched at the thought. "Please tell me you weren't paying too much attention," I said with a slight grin. Naomi chuckled softly. "She only said nice things about you." I scoffed in response. I'd still find something to argue about. Naomi's grin widened. "She didn't exactly praise how stubborn you are," she teased. "Figures," I replied dryly. "But you're still here." "Of course," she said warmly, her eyes softening. "I love you, Blake. That won't ever change." At that moment, Peggy came bounding in and nestled beside us, and I wrapped my arms around both of them, feeling incredibly fortunate. 2 days before Christmas, a heavy storm arrived, causing the river to rise rapidly. Throughout the night, we had to drag the dock up the bank 3 separate times to keep it from being swept away. The rising water also destroyed 2 sections of our fence. So, on Christmas morning, before the sun even rose, I was out there repairing it with the help of a hired hand. We had planned to sit down to our meal at 2 in the afternoon, hoping Sienna and Brooke would arrive by then. After finishing the fence repairs, I took a quick shower and changed into fresh clothes. When I was ready, I glanced around for the girls, but they were nowhere in sight, although Sienna's car was parked outside. I decided to make some spiced rum punch and warm cider. Just as I finished, I heard voices near the entrance. Peggy came running in and plopped down beside me. Dexter stretched across our laps with a satisfied sigh. "That smells amazing," Peggy remarked. "Rum punch," I told her. She took a sip and scrunched up her face. "It smells better than it tastes," she said, making me laugh. "It's an acquired taste," I replied. "Try the spiced cider instead." Peggy grabbed a cup just as Brooke walked in, immediately taking a liking to the rum punch. Sienna followed her, and then, to my utter shock, Naomi entered, hand in hand with Claire. They both noticed my stunned expression right away, and Naomi rushed to my side. "Don't be upset, Blake," she said quickly. Claire didn't have anywhere else to go, so I invited her. I wasn't exactly upset, but I couldn't say I was thrilled either. Naomi took my hand and guided me over to where Claire stood. "Claire wants to speak with you," Naomi explained. I offered Claire a drink, and she chose the cider. Together, we stepped into the office. I sank into my chair, and Claire settled into Naomi's chair across from me. "You're looking good, Blake," she remarked, offering me a smile. "Thanks," I replied. "You look good too." She did look well, almost as though she'd lost a bit of weight. "I owe you an apology," she started, her voice sincere. "I was selfish, and I hurt you. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I probably don't deserve it. But I hope you'll at least consider it." I leaned back, taking a moment to reflect. "I've had time to think things over," I said slowly. "It hurt, sure, but in the end, it allowed me to move on and find something better. I was angry for a long time, but not anymore." "I'm truly sorry I hurt you," she said quietly. I paused, gathering my thoughts. "I forgive you," I finally replied. "You know how much Naomi and Peggy mean to me. Sienna and Brooke care for them deeply as well." "You'll always be their mother," Claire said, her voice soft. "You're always welcome here. The girls say you've changed. I hope you find happiness because I intend to. If you're at peace with that," I added, "I'll think kindly of you." "Do you think we could be friends?" she asked tentatively. "We'll see," I replied with a small smile. "But no drama." She laughed softly. "No drama. Looks like you've landed on your feet, Blake. I'm still trying to do the same." At that moment, Naomi knocked on the door. "Dinner's ready," she called out. We all gathered around the large table. Peggy led the blessing, and the room filled with laughter and lively conversation. I caught Naomi's eye, and she gave me a quick, playful wink. Peggy was sneaking food to Dexter under the table, and the girls were buzzing with excitement. Claire seemed relaxed and content too. It was shaping up to be a Christmas to remember. This is the end of one journey, but the start of another. Let's see where the next story takes us. On a cold, crisp evening, the type where the air feels still and sharp, Amy and I were standing on the porch, saying our farewells to the last of our party guests. "Good night. Merry Christmas," we called out, grinning as we waved goodbye. It had become a ritual for us to host this annual neighborhood gathering every December for the past 6 years. What had started as a small get-together with just a few couples had slowly grown year by year. This time, we had over 35 people at the party, and many of them weren't even from the neighborhood. I assumed the increase in attendance was largely due to the endless supply of drinks and the wild games that everyone seemed to love. The games, year after year, kept pushing the envelope, getting more risque, but always just shy of crossing into anything overtly inappropriate. It might not have been totally PG, but it never made anyone feel truly uncomfortable. Like Amy and me, most of the guests were young parents in their late 20s to early 30s. We weren't the type to party like we had back in college. We were simply regular people who needed a night to unwind and enjoy ourselves. The women would always bring more food than we could possibly eat, while the husbands, including myself, made sure that no one's glass was ever empty. Over the years, a few neighbors had begun inviting friends from outside the neighborhood, but it was never an issue, until this year. Without giving me a heads up, Amy invited a few of her co-workers to the gathering. Among them was Ron Stevens, her sales partner at work. The two had worked together for 5 years, and over time, their relationship had grown closer, perhaps too close for my liking. They frequently traveled together and attended sales conferences twice a year, spending a week away from home each time. Just days before the party, Ron had come up during one of our heated arguments. The thought of him being in my home was enough to sour my mood. After the last of the guests had left, I helped Amy clean up and take out the trash. When I came back inside, she was still finishing up in the kitchen. It was time to confront her. "Amy, why did you think it was a good idea to invite Ron and your co-workers to our neighborhood party?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She answered quickly, almost defensively. "I like them. I thought it would be fun to have them here. They all seemed to enjoy themselves and got along fine with everyone else." "What's the big deal?" she responded. "Really?" I said. "You know how I feel about you and Ron, and you invited him into our home. My home, Amy." "It's my home too, Mark," she snapped. "I don't need your permission to invite anyone I want to a party." My frustration was building. "So you think it's okay to embarrass me by having your friend parading around in front of our guests? Do you think I didn't notice the looks they were giving me, the raised eyebrows? Are you seriously going to deny it?" Amy rolled her eyes, letting out a scoff. "I've told you 100 times. Ron is not my boyfriend. No one was giving you dirty looks. It's just your jealousy talking, and I'm really getting tired of it." "Oh, really?" I said, my voice growing colder. "You think no one saw you sneaking off upstairs with him? What was that about, Amy? Why did you need to be alone with him up there?" "Forget you," she shouted, her face reddening with anger. "We didn't sneak anywhere," she continued. "He needed the bathroom, and the one downstairs was taken. I just showed him to the guest bathroom. I was up there for maybe a minute, 2 at the most." "You're being ridiculous." I could feel my pulse rising. "More lies," I shot back. "You were gone for over half an hour, and I know because Gail was distracting me, trying to keep me busy so I wouldn't notice. I kept track of the time, Amy. Don't lie to me." "You're crazy," Amy said, shaking her head. "Gail was probably just being friendly. I don't know why she'd bother with you, though. She was avoiding the issue of the lie, and I could tell she wasn't good at covering her tracks, despite her usual skill in negotiations. Amy, inviting Ron here was a huge mistake, and honestly, it's the last straw." "I'm done with your lies and your disrespect," I said firmly. Then, without another word, I turned and marched upstairs, ignoring her protests. She called out more insults, but they didn't reach me. I went into our ensuite, grabbed my toiletry bag, and started packing my things. As I gathered my belongings, my deodorant slipped from my hands and rolled off the counter, landing in the trash can. When I bent down to retrieve it, I noticed something shiny amidst the trash, a glimmer of gold foil. My heart skipped a beat, and I froze. Taking a deep breath, I picked it up. It was a condom wrapper. Everything I had suspected was true. After our second child, I had gotten a vasectomy, so there was no need for condoms. Amy had been cheating on me. Standing there in shock, I didn't hear Amy enter the room at first. She continued shouting about how paranoid I was, but I said nothing. I turned slowly to face her, holding the foil in front of me. "It's not paranoia when it's true," I said quietly. Amy stopped dead in her tracks, her face draining of color. "It's just a joke," she stammered, her voice trembling. "Someone must have put that there. It's not what you think. Please, just stop." But I already knew. "Enough with the lies," I snapped, my voice as cold as ice. "This ends now, Amy. I'm finished." "No, Mark," she cried out, her voice trembling. "It's not over." "It was a huge mistake," she continued, her desperation evident. "I never wanted this to happen." "Yeah, I know," I answered, the bitterness in my tone unmistakable. "You never intended for me to find out about your affair. That was a monumental mistake." No, that's not what I meant," she pleaded, her head shaking frantically. "Please, let me explain. Her desperation hung in the air, but I remained unmoved. "I think it's pretty clear what went down," I said, my voice frosty. "You snuck off during the party, and while I was downstairs entertaining our guests, you betrayed me with your boyfriend. How did it feel to deceive me right under my nose, with me just a floor away?" "No, that's not how it was," Amy said, her voice cracking. "Please, baby, let me explain. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I didn't plan it. I didn't even look at her as I stuffed the foil into my pocket." She staggered back as I walked past her, her hands reaching out but not quite touching me. I headed toward our master bedroom, then out into the hallway. I could hear her scrambling to catch up as I reached the guest room and slammed the door shut. The lock clicked into place just as she tried to turn the handle. "Mark, please," her voice echoed from the other side, frantic. "You have to listen. Let me explain. It's not what you think. Please, open the door. I need to talk to you." Her pleas were filled with desperation, almost frantic. I knew she couldn't unlock the door, but I shoved a chest of drawers in front of it anyway, just to be sure. She hammered against the door, begging me to let her in. Eventually, I turned on the TV and cranked the volume, blocking out her cries. Sleep was impossible. My mind kept replaying every late night she had, every business trip, every conference she attended. Had she been seeing him then too? The thought made me sick, but I couldn't deny the possibility. A tear slid down my cheek as the knot in my stomach grew tighter. How was I supposed to tell our kids that their parents were breaking up? How could she do this to them? To us? What made her fall in love with another man? Was I not enough? Was I a failure as a husband? The questions pounded in my mind, relentless and painful. My thoughts were a blur, and I could barely close my eyes before the sunlight cut through the window, mocking me with its brightness. I threw the covers off and stood up. There was so much to do today. I moved the chest of drawers aside and stepped into the hallway. The door to the master bedroom was still open, and I glanced inside briefly. Amy was lying there, motionless. I quietly shut the door behind me and went to the guest bathroom to wash up. After dressing, I made my way to the kitchen to make coffee. I had barely taken my seat with my cup when Amy walked in. She looked a mess. Her eyes swollen, hair a tangled mess, nose still red from crying. It was clear she'd been drinking last night. But even in her disheveled state, she still had the beauty that had once drawn me to her. Another wave of pain hit me in the gut. How had we come to this? "Is there enough for me to have a cup?" she asked hesitantly. "Help yourself," I replied flatly, gesturing to the counter. My eyes were fixed on the coffee pot. On the counter was her cup. I had already poured in the exact amount of skim milk she liked, just like I did every morning. I hadn't even realized I'd done it. She poured herself a cup and walked over to the table, sitting across from me. "Mark, I messed up," she began, her voice breaking. "I thought I was being clever," she went on, her eyes brimming with tears. "I thought it would teach you a lesson, but now I see how wrong I was. I was foolish. I just wanted to shock you, but everything went horribly wrong. I'm so sorry." "You didn't deserve any of this," she added, her voice quivering. "You have every right to be angry with me." "Well, thank you for finally acknowledging that," I said sarcastically. "How generous of you. You bring your boyfriend into my house, betray me while our friends and your co-workers are here, and now you tell me I have every right to be angry?" "What a relief," I said bitterly. "No, no, no," she insisted, her voice rising in panic. "I'm doing this all wrong. Please, let me start over and explain everything from the beginning." "At this point," I said, shaking my head, "it's a bit late for that. You gave the entire neighborhood a front-row seat to your plan last night." "Oh my God!" Amy gasped, her eyes widening in shock. She jumped out of her seat, rushing to my side. She grabbed at my chair, trying to turn me toward her. Without warning, She climbed onto my lap and threw her arms around my neck, looking at me with pleading eyes. "Please, Mark, just let me explain. Please, give me 5 minutes. I need you to understand." I pulled my head back, away from her lips as she tried to kiss my cheek, but I couldn't bring myself to reciprocate. Tears welled in her eyes as she begged me, her voice trembling. A deep anger began to surge inside me, overwhelming my thoughts. I could feel myself on the edge of standing up, pushing her off and walking away. But deep down, I knew I couldn't bring myself to physically harm her, no matter how justified it might have seemed. It wasn't in me to do that. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, holding it for a moment before letting it out slowly. "Fine, Amy. 5 minutes. But please, get off me now," I said, my voice tight with restraint. Still, she clung to me, adamant. 5 minutes, and I'm not letting go until I tell you everything." I glanced at my watch, silently noting the time, a reminder that I was giving her the 5 minutes she'd asked for. Reflecting now, everything that unfolded the previous night seemed so foolish, but Amy explained that it was meant to be a staged scene, at least until Ron messed everything up. She hesitated, her voice unsure. I raised an eyebrow, signaling her to continue. "All right, go ahead," I said, keeping my tone even. "You've been complaining about Ron for months," she began, "saying you didn't trust him, and by extension, you didn't trust me to handle him either. Even after I kept assuring you that I wasn't interested, you still didn't believe me. It seemed like you thought I was some naive girl who couldn't resist a smooth talker or the charm of any guy. But I always turned Ron down, every time he tried." Amy explained that to prove a point about my jealousy, she had orchestrated a situation where I would see her and Ron together in an innocent setting. "I knew you'd be watching when Ron and I went upstairs," she said, her voice more steady now. "We had to time it right so you'd be focused on refilling the ice bowl, and that's when Gail was supposed to distract you, making sure you wouldn't suspect anything while we slipped upstairs. Everything went exactly as I planned. I brought Ron to our room, had him sit in the chair, and waited for you to rush in," she continued. "But after a while, I realized you weren't coming to confront me. You weren't coming to stop me. At that moment, I was a little too drunk to fully grasp how much I'd hurt you. I guess I thought you'd given up on us," she said, her voice cracking. And then I started crying. Ron pulled me into his arms, let me cry on his shoulder. Eventually, he started rubbing my back and playing with my hair. I pulled away, but then he kissed me. That's when everything spiraled out of control. Amy claimed that Ron misinterpreted the situation, exposed himself, and tried to pressure her into something more. She said she shoved him away, and he retreated to the bathroom, leaving behind a condom wrapper. "Mark, I swear, I didn't know he'd do something so stupid," she pleaded, her voice filled with regret. "I told Gail, and she went straight for him. She made him leave with her. She'll confirm everything I'm telling you." I could only stare at her, trying to process what she had just revealed. I slowly stood up, gently lifting her off my lap, and set her down before picking up my cup and heading to the coffee machine. As I refilled it, she moved up beside me. "Mark, please talk to me," she begged. "I know you're still angry, but I didn't cheat on you. I told you everything," she continued. "I didn't go along with Ron's advances. He was drunk, just like the rest of us, and he messed up. His actions, his kiss, and the exposure, it was never part of my plan. He's just an idiot. I don't want to cause any problems at work," she went on. "But come Monday, Gail and I will make sure Ron faces the consequences for his stupidity. I'm so sorry, Mark. Please, can you forgive me?" She looked at me with a mixture of hope and desperation. I studied her for a long moment. "Let me get this straight," I said, my voice cold. "You set up this whole thing upstairs to make sure I saw it. You thought I'd be so upset that I'd rush upstairs to stop you from betraying me. And when I walked in and saw you two just sitting there, like nothing was wrong, you thought I'd laugh it off and realize how foolish I was to doubt you. Let me guess, I continued, my voice rising. Gail was supposed to lead everyone upstairs after me so they could join in, laughing at the jealous husband. Maybe the whole group would make a spectacle of me, drawing in friends and neighbors to mock me. Was that the plan? Humiliate me in front of everyone so that I'd finally believe you, to make me trust that you'd never betray me? I asked, my voice laced with frustration. Amy froze, her face going pale. I didn't want to humiliate you, Mark. I just wanted you to see how wrong you were about Ron. I wanted you to understand how much it hurt me when you kept thinking the worst of me. I thought if you saw nothing was going on, it would prove I was telling the truth. So when I didn't react the way you expected, when I didn't rush upstairs and catch you two in the act, you got mad, didn't you? I continued, my voice growing sharper. That ruined your plan, and now you needed to punish me for not following the script. So you thought you'd teach me a lesson by letting Ron actually betray me on my bed while I was downstairs hosting the party. Was that the lesson you wanted to teach me? Amy's face drained of color as she stammered, "What do you mean? What lesson are you talking about?" "Actually letting him betray me," I pressed, my voice now biting. "Letting him expose himself to you while I was downstairs? Was that your way of getting back at me for ruining your little setup?" "Oh God, Mark, not this again," Amy cried, her voice desperate. "I've already told you what happened." "You told me your version," I retorted, "but you're leaving out something. There's more you're not telling me. I'm sure you and Gail put a lot of work into creating that version last night, blending just enough truth to make it seem believable." "I have no idea what you're referring to," I replied. "Look, Mark, I admitted I made a mistake. Can we just forget about my foolish plan and stop fighting?" "Oh, I don't think that's going to happen," I said, pulling a small plastic bag from my pocket. "This is your revenge," I said. "This is the part of the story you conveniently left out. This is the evidence that shows I can't believe anything you've told me." Amy eyed the bag, trying to figure out what it contained. I held it up, letting it hang from my fingers. She squinted, and then it clicked. A grin spread across my face as I saw her shock. "He's an idiot," I said calmly. "He tied it off before trying to flush it. The air bubble kept it from going down." I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and there it was, still floating in the bowl. The idiot never even checked to see if it actually flushed. "Oh my God," Amy whispered, staring at me, stunned. "Yeah," I confirmed. "I'm guessing," I continued, "when I didn't fall into your trap, you were so angry that when Ron made his move, you decided to teach me a lesson by betraying me on our own bed. Then, after you did it, you realized you couldn't let me find out. So you kicked him out and called Gail to come up with a story. I'm sure she's been on the phone all morning, making sure everything matches up." Amy looked down, unable to meet my eyes. I had the foil and the proof. There was no way she could spin the truth now. Defeated, she let out a heavy sigh. "I'm sorry," she muttered. "I'm sorry I lied to you. You were right. When you didn't storm upstairs, I lost control and wanted to hurt you. I was drunk enough to think that letting Ron have his way would somehow teach you a lesson. I know. It was stupid." "Right?" she said, her voice cracking. "Hell, everything I did was stupid. My plan to humiliate you was stupid. Betraying you was stupid. I've really messed everything up." As she sobbed, I wondered what this meant for our future. Was this the end of us? Could I get past this single act, born from anger and frustration that I had helped fuel with my constant doubts? That nagging feeling that something was off? I had known for months that things had changed. Amy had changed. But how? When did intimacy become so hollow for her that she could use it as a weapon? I looked at her, broken and crying. She had become a master manipulator. Gail must have taught her the art of negotiation, using everything at her disposal. Gail, her mentor, the woman who had outperformed all her male colleagues. Gail, the seasoned sales manager, had taken Amy under her wing. Gail, the flirtatious divorcee, had shown Amy how to win every negotiation with male clients. How could I have been so blind? I had been so proud of her when she quickly rose to the lead sales position. Over the years, she had received multiple awards and bonuses. Gail was her biggest advocate. Those bonuses allowed us to start college funds for our kids and pay off our debts. But at what cost? It was time to get answers. Slowly, I began to clap. Bravo, bravo. That was an impressive performance. Quick thinking, really. Gail trained you well. It didn't take long for you to realize you'd lost the battle with Ron, so you played the part of the remorseful wife, hoping I'd focus on your one mistake. The mistake you made in the heat of the moment, while a little tipsy. The mistake you think you can convince me to forgive, for the sake of our kids. I've got to admit, that's a pretty clever strategy. You know I'd do anything for our girls. You're hoping that I'll overlook your blunder to spare them the pain. And why wouldn't I? After all, you've confessed to your cruel plan to teach me a lesson by humiliating me, and you've admitted to the mistake you made in a drunken rage when I ruined your scheme. You've taken full responsibility and begged for my forgiveness. My goodness, what more could you do? The tears had stopped. Amy stood still, her eyes fixed on mine, searching for a glimpse of my thoughts. She didn't speak. I could almost see her mind racing, trying to figure out how to regain control of the situation. Amy, I said softly, I believe what you've said about Ron and what happened last night. I'm sorry for suspecting you of having an affair with him. I'm convinced that last night was your only encounter with him. Yes, baby, it was the only time, I swear, Amy replied, her voice filled with relief. It was a stupid mistake, and I promise I'll never have anything to do with that jerk again. Please, honey, can we just put all this behind us? I care for you deeply, but please, just hear me out. Even though I once claimed I could get past the humiliation and betrayal you subjected me to, there's still the matter of everything else. What do you mean by everything else? Amy's expression shifted, her eyes wide with fear. She wasn't expecting what I had just said. It took me a little too long to notice it. When I met Gail and heard the rumors surrounding her, I should have realized then. But I trusted you. Later, when my instincts kept signaling that something was off, I convinced myself that Ron was the problem. I was wrong about him, but didn't I have every reason to question you? Doubt? Amy echoed, looking puzzled. What do you mean? I exhaled deeply, a heavy, fatigued sigh, leaning back in my chair as I shook my head, unable to believe what had transpired. I was drained by the deception, the half-truths, and the misdirection I had been subjected to. Even though I lacked concrete proof of her wrongdoings, I just knew. Deep down, I knew the woman I had once adored, the one I envisioned growing old with, was gone. Gail had led her toward wealth and rewards, but Amy had chosen to walk that path. She had willingly abandoned the promises she once made. And for what? Her vanity? A few extra dollars? A fleeting moment of excitement? It didn't matter anymore. Amy, I know what you've been up to. I know exactly how you close those deals. It shatters me to see what you've become. Her face briefly reflected shock, and I caught it, just before she quickly masked it with a smile. Mark, please, she said, her voice trembling. I thought we had moved past this. I confessed my mistake with Ron, but now I have no idea what you're referring to. Whatever it is you think you know, I don't want to discuss it anymore. We need to tidy up and go get the girls. I'm sure they love your parents, but they must miss you too. So we did just that. I spent the day with my daughters, but my mind was preoccupied, plotting my next steps. By Monday, I had already put my plan into motion. I went about my usual work routine, but everything felt different. The night before, I had hired a private investigator, explaining my suspicions about Amy's dubious business tactics. I also contacted 3 of Amy's top competitors, anonymously alerting them to her methods. I reached out to a lawyer experienced in corporate ethics, who agreed to take on my case on contingency, provided we could gather solid proof. Additionally, I scheduled an appointment with our family lawyer to discuss custody arrangements in case things escalated. Over the following 2 weeks, the investigator compiled an overwhelming dossier. It was clear, Amy wasn't just using unethical methods to close sales. Gail was at the heart of the operation, taking a cut from every bonus Amy earned. But that wasn't all. They were manipulating expenses, double-charging clients, and altering contracts after signing. Instead of confronting Amy directly, I decided to bide my time. I sent the gathered evidence anonymously to the company's board, the ethics committee, and several investigative journalists who specialized in corporate wrongdoing. I made sure the proof was irrefutable. 3 weeks after the Christmas party, Amy came home completely broken. "Mark," she said, her voice shaky, "I've been suspended. They're investigating me. Someone sent proof to the board about how I've been securing deals. They say Gail's been teaching the other female salespeople to do the same. They're even talking about criminal charges." I could lose everything. I gave her a sympathetic look, hiding my true emotions. "That's terrible, Amy. Who would do such a thing?" The following day, she was officially let go. The company issued a public statement reiterating their zero-tolerance policy on unethical practices. 2 major business magazines published exposés on Gail's sales tactics, though they kept the identities anonymous. Amy's professional reputation was permanently tarnished. When she received her termination letter, she completely broke down. "How will I support myself?" she cried. "Who will hire me now?" "I'll make sure the girls are taken care of," I reassured her. "You should probably speak to a lawyer about your options." The final blow came when I had the divorce papers served to her at her parents' home, where she had been staying since the scandal broke. I cited irreconcilable differences and asked for primary custody of our daughters, with generous visitation for her. The evidence of her professional misconduct, paired with the affair with Ron, which I had thoroughly documented, left her with little wiggle room. Her lawyer advised her to accept my terms rather than risk further details being exposed in a public trial. 6 months after the Christmas party, our divorce was finalized. I kept the house and had primary custody of the girls. Amy moved into a modest apartment and had to rebuild her career in retail sales. Gail faced criminal charges for fraud, resulting in probation and community service. Amy never realized that I had orchestrated her downfall. She assumed it was a competitor or a disgruntled client behind it all. A year after the divorce, I was dining with our daughters at a restaurant when I saw Amy, now working as a sales clerk at a nearby store. Our eyes briefly met, and in her gaze, I noticed a fleeting expression of regret and sorrow. I nodded politely, a gesture of acknowledgement, before shifting my attention back to our daughters. Later that evening, I received a message from Amy. Her words were simple yet loaded. "I know it was you. I don't understand how, but I know. You were right all along. I'm sorry for throwing away what we had. Please take care of our girls." I chose not to respond. There was no need for words. The balance had been restored in the most fitting way possible. Amy lost everything that once defined her, her reputation, her career, and her family. But not through aggression or public disgrace. It was simply the inevitable result of her own choices. As for me, I've begun to rebuild my life. I'm cautiously exploring new connections. Our daughters are flourishing, well-adjusted, and Amy continues to maintain a relationship with them. I've learned to trust my own judgment and place honesty at the forefront of everything I do. At times, the greatest form of revenge isn't about retribution. It's about embracing freedom. That Christmas party marked a significant moment for all of us, but in the end, I discovered something far more precious than any form of vengeance. I found peace. Our story has come to an end. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the way I tell stories, head over to my channel and check out my other videos. May the force be with you. See you soon, my friend.